Welcome to a new installment of Breakfast with Birds. Indica's out on another outing. I'm hoping that if she sees the other birds feeding themselves, she'll start to get the idea. And oh, thank you, Silk. I would like to have this. That's quite a handsome feather. Thank you, buddy. Steve's parents are starting to wean him. Oh, do we have an early peep? We might have an early peep. You little mess. Hey, Puddin'. Hey, Rigby. How's that good girl feeling today? Hmm? How's a good girl? He's not going to feed you, Indica. Also, nothing else will fit in you. Nothing else will fit in you. You're very full. She took 7 syringes this morning. That baby is so full, I don't know how she's standing up. And she's not anymore. Hi, Lexi. That's Puddin'. Oh, that's her nose. Hi, Lily. Look at most of the peeps in the box. See, this is how peeps form their little subgroups in a flock. Generally speaking, all the peeps that hatched around the same time are going to want to all hang out together in a group. So they'll bond together, they'll share experiences, they'll form particularly tight friendships. I've decided that since there was such a range in Emilio and Tandy's clutch, that I'm just going to keep them both. Hi, Hagrid. A Hagrid or a net? That Cody is over there sitting on his egg. Which is due to hatch tomorrow. Mia really wants him some calcium. That type of wing twitching is threatening anybody else who gets too close. So between Indica and Sativa, Indica is my keepback. I have an arm, Hagrid. Hey, good girl. Oh, we haven't really talked about the flecking in ash red feathers. So, this is the basis of everyone's favorite game, lice or flecking. For reference, this is all flecking. These little flecks in ash red feathers. Some people say it's a sign that they carry blue, which we know silk does. But I don't actually know the truth of that. I haven't documented it all that much. More specifically, I haven't had any ash red birds that don't carry blue to document the amount of flecking on. But when you are playing the flex versus lice game, flex will sometimes go, I don't know if you can see this, but can you see the grain of the feather of the barbs coming together? Lice are always going to be in between the barbs, and they're usually going to be close to the shaft. You're not often going to find them at the tip of the tail feather. You're more likely going to find them here, where this fleck is. Now that's either a marking or some kind of a mess that's gotten into his... Oh, no, that's a marking. You can see when we turn it over. Here's the pigment on the... here's the pigment staining the underside. Which looks very convincingly like a long-bodied feather louse on the other side. Now flecks like this one that go cross grain or across multiple barbs are definitely flecks, because lice don't do this. Long-bodied feather lice protect themselves by slipping in between the barbs of the feather, and they keep from being easily preened out by hanging out very, very close to the shaft. You might see them at about the midway point away from the shaft, which makes all these little flecks in the center of the shot, or would have made them suspicious if they were just a little bigger and a little different color. Now, later on, if I get the opportunity, I will show you on our rescue birds what actual lice look like. but they've just been dipped, so they shouldn't have any adults that I can show you. And I'm sure as hell not going to let any hatchlings grow to adult size. That, by the way, is why they're dipped once a week. It takes a week for nits to hatch, 2 weeks for lice to reach maturity. Oh, Betty's feeding his kids. Hi, Thistle. Oh no! Oliver tried to land on my head and crashed. Hop in and cuddle with Sativa. Yeah, hop in and cuddle. You cuddle bug. Ow. Ow. Hopefully now that Thistle is safely down, Tandy will have some time to recover from feeding them. This has been kind of hard on Tandy. Thistle is pretty close to her in size. Two parents of the same size struggle a lot less to keep squeakers fed than parents of two different sizes. Tandy may also be amongst the birds that are dealing with worms. We're currently medicating them for that. And what we're doing right now is we're treating with ivermectin. We gave them some in their drinking water yesterday, and when that runs out, we'll treat them again in 12 days. I was a little bit concerned for some of the younger peeps. But Sativa looks pretty comfortable. And Thistle and Elliot and the two babies being pumped by Betty are fine. Vinny and Ellie seem to be pretty strongly of the opinion that once the peeps toddle out of their box, they need to be pretty much self-feeding. So they've been trying to wean Sativa by ignoring him most of the time. Sativa does self-feed. And this is one of the rare cases where a baby hatched by his parents and fed by them. Granted, he hatched second, but he hatched out of a physically larger egg than hers. Indica was brought in to feed because Sativa was bigger than her and was pushing her parents' mouth out of her reach. But they've been largely more interested in doing their own thing than feeding their peepers. Now, they fed him enough to keep him alive, but his condition is less favorable than Indica's. Usually, babies fed on... Stop that. I know, I hear you, but you're very full. I can't feed you anymore. I can't fit anything else in you. You're very full. Usually, babies fed primarily on formula are smaller and less developed than parent-fed babies, especially when the parent-fed baby is a sibling and effectively made an only child by taking the other peep into hand feed. So that she's bigger, better developed, in better feather than he is a little worrisome. Pretty much everyone's poop looks better than it did yesterday. There was a lot of splatter yesterday, and today it's a lot more solid. So if I find parasites in one bird, it's frankly just safer to assume that they're in everybody and treat everyone as if they're carriers. That was a good poo you pooed, Thistle. This is what you want to see out of a healthy peep. Small, compact, solid poo. Hey, Betty. Buddy? Did your peep hatch early? Did your peep hatch early? Well, when I'm done filming, I'll have to go check. It's not due to hatch till tomorrow, but hatching a day early isn't uncommon. Hi, Cookie. Thistle. Well, now I can never get up again. Tandy's oldest is sitting on me. It's okay, it's okay, it's okay. Pippin. No call for that. No call for that. In addition to our clients, adopters, and apprentices, both in companion breeding and rescue, I'd like to thank our subscribers here on YouTube, our patrons on Patreon, the friends of our business page on Facebook, and our followers on Tumblr, Instagram, and Twitter for your contributions, both financial and intellectual. I have not been able to keep as tight a filming schedule as I'd like, and I apologize for that, but I'm pretty much just going to be filming when I don't have stills to take. Because trying to do both can be very, very time consuming. Oh, my stretchy PJ. Anyway, I'll go ahead and sign off and then check on Cody's little peep.